The Isak and Newcastle saga is getting more interesting by the day. I kept saying this. Some of these footballers' agents are the undoing of their own players. Most of them do not understand these games very, very well. Isak penning down a CCA contract with Newcastle without adding or insisting on a release clause was Isak's undoing. On the contract, there was no place where it was stated that if should any club bid for Isak or so amount of money that the club would let him go. It was not written. Rather, it was only verbally agreed, according to Isak, because he kept on saying that Newcastle break their promises. Verbal agreement. Who does that? Verbal agreement. Whereas he should have insisted that the clauses be added on the deal he signed. He couldn't do that. His agent couldn't do that. And this is somebody that Newcastle United paid 60 million plus to get on a 6-year contract. That is why Isak could not charge Newcastle. Everything he's saying is babash, because everything he's saying, according to him, is verbal agreement. There was nowhere in his contract that a release clause was added. Had the release clause been added, once Liverpool meets the release clause, he will be allowed to leave. If not, Newcastle will face the music. This is smart business from Newcastle. And the major problem that most people do not know about this thing is that this Isak Liverpool saga did not even start when Liverpool start calling for Isak. No. It started at the end of the season. The problem was this. They promised Isak that they are going to revisit his contract to make him one of the highest earners in the Premier League. Then after the season ended, Isak was hoping for the meeting. It never came. It never happened. That was where Isak faulted them first, insisting that they've broken the promise first. Because he was expecting them to call him to the negotiation table so that they will renegotiate his contract and make him one of the highest earners in the EPL. Which explains the fact why he was willing to join Liverpool for 350,000 to also make him one of the highest earners in the EPL. So you see everything now. Interesting. This is football. You must have smart agents. Some of these footballers' agents, some of the agents are their family members. You see somebody's father being his agent. You see somebody mother being their agent. But these people know very little about football. And by so doing, they may not represent the players very, very well. Because should a smart agent has handled this matter, Isak couldn't have signed this CCA contract with Newcastle without a release clause. So that is where he shot himself on the leg. Now his attitude is even worse because he's not doing it rightly. You can show grievances in different ways, but refusing to train with your players is insulting. Refusing to train with your players and swearing not to play for the club that feeds you is also insulting to the club and the people that play, even the fans in general. That's why Isak is getting it all. And I know that he's been advised. Yes, he's been ill-advised. This is how these things work. Somebody has been do this, do that. But sometimes, some of these advices that this player receives from people will later turn out to haunt them in the future. Because if you're going to sign someone who is willing to do anything to get out of the club, that same person will not change once he's entered your club. He can do the same with you too. So it shows it shows their mentality. It shows their kind of person. It shows their personality. So I think we are still yet. Newcastle United want Isak back. They want him back. Because even the coach, Eddie Howe, complains that they played better, they played good football in their two previous games, but that they would have fared better had Isak started. So and there is also a place for Isak to come back to the team, even though the teammate does not want him. But of course, they're not the one paying, But should Isak come back, that means Isak first have to tender a public apology to Newcastle United players, the staff, the team, and the fans. That is all that is pending. If Isak can do this, then he will be reintegrated back to the team. Because the transfer window is just in a couple of days and it will shut down. So we do not know where Isak will end. It's just like a broken bridges. He needs to start rebuilding his bridges. And by so doing, first, you have to start with the apology letter to the entire Newcastle players, club owners, management, and the fans. This is a terrible position to be.